Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me tonight on this Saturday evening. I just wanted to come on and give you some of the latest updates out of Disney and Universal Orlando about their reopening procedures, and also just take a little bit of time to field your questions that you might have about reopening of those two parks in particular. So, if you have a question, at any point during this broadcast, go ahead and feel free to drop that into the comments. And then towards the end, I will come back to the questions and we'll do a little bit of a Q&A session to kind of finish out our time together. I am using a new platform for my live streaming. This is called StreamYard. And so one of kind of the nuances of this application is that if you want your username and your profile picture to appear in the comments section, then you do have to approve StreamYard to be able to see those things. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and approve that through StreamYard. Otherwise, it'll just show you as, anonymous Facebook user, which is fine too. If you don't want to approve it, you don't have to. But if you want your name and profile picture to show up in the comments, then you do need to approve that real quickly as we get started. But I am just going to go through some of the latest updates. In fact, this is really great timing that we decided to do this tonight because I just got an email from Disney like less than an hour ago with more new information. And that's kind of been the nature of this beast as we, as the travel industry, have been navigating COVID-19 procedures. We have seen that the one thing that is constant is change. And so everything changes, it changes very quickly. And one thing that I think that my clients have learned, and a lot of friends and family maybe that booked on their own too, or are learning, is the value of having a travel advisor right now in your corner. Someone who is staying up to date on all of the changes, all of the policies and procedures, and can actually work with you instead of you having to go out and hunt for that information on your own. So I think that that's some of the good that has come out of this situation, is people understanding even more than ever before the value of having a travel agent in your corner. But without further ado, let's talk about some of the newest updates. So I'm going to start with Universal Orlando. Universal Orlando actually opened to guests yesterday, guests across the board. They did some affinity group, previews, like annual pass holders, for instance, could get in a couple of days earlier, but they are open to the public now. And that is really, really excited. Universal Orlando is a fantastic theme park. There are two major theme parks there: Universal Studios Florida and Universal's Islands of Adventure. And there's also Universal's Volcano Bay, which is a water theme park. Universal also has a variety of on-site hotels, and the vast majority of those are open now too. There are two exceptions to that rule. Loews Portofino Bay Hotel is not yet reopened. Neither is the Endless Summer Dockside. That one was scheduled to open back in March, and that was obviously delayed because of the health situation that we found ourselves in at that time. But all of the other on-site resorts are open as well, and they are taking new reservations for right now. And even into 2021, you can book a Universal vacation. So I'm just going to kind of go over what some of their reopening procedures are, what the parks are like. Our agency owner, Carrie Dillon, as well as several of our other agents, were actually on site at Universal for the reopening. So if you want to see some pictures and some video of people who were actually there and witnessing the first days that they were open, head on over to the Marvelous Mouse Travels Facebook page and follow along with that, and you can see a lot of that information too. But I'm going to click over here. I've got things written down so that I don't forget anything important. But the first thing to know about Universal is that there are capacity limits in place for the parks. Okay, so they are operating on limited capacity. We don't know exactly what that percentage of their normal theme park capacity is, but they are operating on a lower park capacity. Hotel guests, on-site hotel guests, are accounted for in those capacity limits. So what that means is that if you are staying on site and you have tickets, you are guaranteed entry into the parks. So I know a lot of people were worried about, well, what if I purchase tickets, I make this hotel reservation, and then I can't get into the parks? If you're an on-site hotel guest, you don't have to worry about that. So it's more important now than ever to stay on site at Universal. What's also more important than ever, if you're not staying on site, like maybe you have made plans already to stay off site somewhere else, you need to purchase your tickets through Marvelous Mouse Travels. Because, and I'm not just saying that because I work with Marvelous Mouse Travels, I'm saying that because we are able to offer our ticket only guests early entry. And so, early entry, the parks are operating in terms of capacity on a first come, first served basis. So, it's incredibly important to be there as early as you can. And early entry gets you that leg up over people that don't have it. And so, if you're staying off site, you've purchased your tickets elsewhere and you don't have early entry, you may not get into the park. It may have reached capacity prior to the time you get there. So staying on site at Universal, having early park admission is incredibly important now more than ever. Okay. Also, if you are going into the parks, if you are going to be in City Walk, if you are staying at an on-site Universal hotel, face masks are required. Okay, face masks are required in all common areas. The face masks have to cover your nose and your mouth. They have to sit closely to your face, and you are required to wear those. Now, Volcano Bay is a little bit different because that is a water theme park. But if you're going to be entering Islands of Adventure or Universal Studios Florida, you are going to, or City Walk, you're going to have that face covering. There are 2 U rest areas in each park. So 2 in Universal Studios, 2 in Islands of Adventure, where it is okay for guests to take their face masks off. Obviously, you have to practice social distancing, stay at least 6 feet away from other parties. But in these areas, you can take a break from that face mask. If you need to do so, you are able to do that. There's also a U rest area in City Walk, so you are able to take your mask off there too. When you are inside a restaurant, if you're eating, you're able to take your mask off inside a restaurant too. But other than that, even on the rides, masks are required. Okay, at least for right now. We don't know exactly how long that will last, but at least for right now, masks are required. Also required are temperature checks. So if you are an on-site hotel guest, you can actually have your temperature taken at the hotel, and then they will give you a wristband, and the color of that wristband is going to change every day. And once you have that wristband on, you don't have to have your temperature retaken at the park. So it's great to save yourself a little bit of time and go ahead and have your temperature checked before you even leave the hotel. If you are staying off-site, then they'll just check it for you, right at the entrance to the park. So anyone with a temperature of 100.4 or higher will not be allowed entry into the park, and will also, if you're a hotel guest, will be denied check-in at the hotel. So it is highly encouraged that you check your temperature before you make the trip down. It's also encouraged that you look at any travel restrictions that may be in place for the area where you live. Residents of certain states do have to practice quarantine if they travel. So if you are a state that is under restrictions like that, make sure that you check that out before you make plans to check into your Universal hotel. Once you're actually in the parks, before you board every ride at Universal, you are given hand sanitizer. So you're given hand sanitizer as you walk in the door. And then once you're off the ride, if you want to put more hand sanitizer on, you can. But the ride vehicles are also regularly cleaned and disinfected. Everything in the park is disinfected much more often than it typically is. Constant disinfection of everything from handrails to the Coca-Cola Freestyle machines. Anything that is a high touch or high traffic area is getting constantly wiped down and disinfected. And so ride vehicles would obviously be part of that. A big question that a lot of people have is characters. Will the characters be out will I still be able to get my picture with my favorite character? Universal's characters are still out, but they're out in a little different way. They're out in kind of pre-staged photo ops. So they might be on top of, like, for lack of a better term, a parade float or something, posed, and you can stand in front of them and take your picture in front of them. So you can still see the characters. You can still get photographs with the characters, even though, you can't hug or stand next to a character like you typically would. The characters are still very much a part of your experience at Universal. They are encouraging cashless transactions as much as possible. So if you can download the Universal app and link your credit card to that, or if you are an on-site hotel guest, you can pay through your room account too. But cashless transactions are not required, but very much encouraged for all guests. And also in use are virtual queues. And this is also done through the Universal app. So it's important to have the app downloaded, but there are some kiosks in the park as well if you want to make those virtual queue reservations in the park. But virtual queues essentially allow you to go around and do other things while you're waiting in line virtually. That does not replace the need for Universal's Express Pass, which Universal Express Pass is their line skip privilege, which is an extra charge at Universal. So it's definitely important to either stay at one of those premier resorts that offers it for free included with your stay, or to purchase that Express Pass, because that is what is going to get you quicker access to more rides. But what's really exciting about the use of this virtual queue at Universal is the fact that Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure is actually part of the virtual queue system. Hagrid's has not been eligible for virtual queue, nor has it been eligible for Express Pass up until this point. So now you can actually get a virtual queue pass for Hagrid's, and that is a huge deal and could make it a whole lot easier to ride that ride. But even if you are, as you're waiting to get to a ride, if you're in a virtual queue, as you're waiting to physically load the ride, social distancing is still practiced. So there are markers on the ground everywhere showing you which direction to walk, showing you where to stand. Every other row on the buses and the water taxis is left empty to allow for capacity limits, even in the internal transportation system. The ride vehicles, there's social distancing there too. In fact, on many rides, you might have an entire ride vehicle for just your family. And there are also capacity limits for the restaurants as well. So social distancing is in place. High levels of sanitation are in place as well. And Universal really has done a fantastic job of protecting the health of their guests, but also helping you have a pretty, normal, by all things considered, park experience too. So you're getting a lot of value in going to Universal, even with the social distancing measures in place. So, that's kind of a quick overview of what's going on with Universal. One thing I did forget to mention is that at the on-site hotels, housekeeping services that's not occurring. However, if you need extra towels, extra soap, anything like that, you can always call the front desk and they will come up and bring you those supplies. Your room will be highly disinfected before you get there. And once you check out, there's not going to be another guest in your room for 24 to 48 hours because they are taking that amount of time to go in and deep clean those hotel rooms. So even though housekeeping during your stay is not taking place, the room that you're in is very clean. And that's, measures have been taken to keep you safe and protected. Let me go through and make sure that I didn't skip over anything that I wanted to say for Universal. I don't believe that I did. So we're going to switch gears now and we're going to talk about Disney World and Disney World's reopening procedures. So Disney World is obviously a much larger park than Universal. They have many, many more on-site hotels. And so their reopening procedure is a little bit more involved than Universal's is, just because they're dealing with more parks, they're dealing with more hotels, they're dealing with potentially more people that would want to come and have a Disney vacation once reopening is possible. So some things are similar between how Disney and Universal are handling things, but some things are very different. And so again, that's why it's so important to have a travel advisor in your corner, someone who can keep up with all of these different things and give you the most up-to-date information. So the number one thing you probably want to know is a date. Universal's already reopened. Disney World is reopening in phases. Some of their on-site hotels are opening starting June 22nd. They're DVC or Disney Vacation Club properties. Those are villa style accommodations that are at the deluxe level. Those will be reopening starting on June 22nd. The parks are having a staggered reopening. So Animal Kingdom and Magic Kingdom will reopen on July 11th, and Epcot and Hollywood Studios will reopen on July 15th. Okay. So whereas Universal is doing a first come, first serve entrance to the park, Disney is handling that differently. Disney is also imposing capacity restrictions on their theme parks, but you have to make an advance park reservation to get into a Disney park. So initially, at least at first, we don't know how long this will be in effect, but at least initially, guests will have to have both a park reservation and valid admission for the same park on the same date. Okay. So you have to, much like you would book a Fastpass or a dining reservation, you're going to have to go in and pre-book admission to a particular park on a particular day. And as of right now, in order to do that, you have to already have tickets purchased or a package reserved. So as of right now, again, this could be temporary. We don't know exactly how long this will last. But as of right now, new ticket sales have been suspended and new resort reservations have been suspended. So first, Disney is just dealing with people who have already booked tickets or already booked a vacation package. And they're trying to figure out, how many of those people are planning to go on their vacation, what dates are they planning to go, so that they can manage the park capacity that they have in place. So you are going to have to make that advanced reservation. I have a lot of information for Disney that I'm going through right now. So pardon me as I kind of scroll through and make sure I'm getting things in the right order. Upon reopening, certain attractions and experiences that would gather a large crowd, such as shows, parades, and fireworks, may have limited availability or may remain closed. At least initially, the fireworks and the parades are not going to be happening because, again, trying to keep people socially distanced. And much like with Universal, Disney is going to have ground markers, signage everywhere showing you where to walk, where to stand, trying to keep everybody 6 feet away from each other at all times to make sure that people are protected and are kept safe. Much like with Universal, face coverings are required at Disney World for guests ages 2 and up, as well as all cast members. So you do have to have a face covering. It does have to cover both your nose and your mouth. It has to fit, tightly to the face. It can't be, hanging loose and everything like that. And temperature screenings are also going to be required. If you have a temperature of 100.4 or higher, you will be denied entry into the park. So temperature screenings are required. Physical distancing and limited contact. So that includes character interactions, at least initially. Character interactions or character meet and greets are not going to take place in the traditional manner. But Disney has said that guests that characters will still be out in the parks in some way to delight guests. So we don't know exactly what that will look like for Disney, but we can imagine it might be something like what Universal has done, where they have, pre-planned photo ops where maybe you can stand in front of things and take your picture at a distance from those characters. So I've mentioned the physical distancing. I've mentioned the park closures. I've mentioned temperature screenings, and also the face mask requirement. So let's talk a little bit about Disney's resort hotels. At least initially, the on June 22nd, only the deluxe villa resorts and Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground will reopen. And those properties include Bay Lake Tower at Disney's Contemporary Resort, Boulder Ridge Villas at Disney's Wilderness Lodge, Copper Creek Villas and Cabins at Disney's Wilderness Lodge, Disney's Animal Kingdom Villas, Kidani Village, Disney's Beach Club Villas, Disney's Boardwalk Villas, Disney's Old Key West Resort, Disney's Polynesian Villas and Bungalows, Disney's Riviera Resort, Disney's Saratoga Springs Resort, and the villas at Disney's Grand Floridian. So essentially, if you have planned a stay at one of those resorts, then obviously you can come as planned if you already have that reservation. Now, people are probably going to wonder, well, what if I have booked a stay at a different resort other than one of those? And Disney is reaching out. They're kind of taking things a week at a time, and they are reaching out to guests or having travel agents reach out to guests with their specific options for their specific vacation. So just know, if you are already booked and you're wondering, what does that mean for me? If you booked through Disney directly, Disney will reach out to you. If you book through a travel agent, your travel agent will reach out to you and go over the options that exist for your specific vacation. Like with Disney, or like with Universal, at Disney, the hotels are requiring masks to be worn in common areas, but Disney will have housekeeping, but that will only be a light refresh every other day. But if you need, additional towels and things like that, you can ask for them. So that is a little bit of a difference. Disney is providing a light cleaning, whereas Universal has suspended that. In terms of some of the resort hotel benefits, one of the benefits for resort hotel guests are extra magic hours, which is either early or late entry, extra time in the parks that's included for free with your hotel stay. And as of right now, those are suspended temporarily. So extra magic hours will not be taking place. We don't know how long that will be the case, but at least initially, that is the case. All high touch areas, both in the resorts and in the theme parks, will be disinfected regularly. And also, complimentary resort transportation will still take place, but there will be capacity limits, social distancing in place to keep people apart, and to keep people safe. As of right now, unless a guest has disabilities and requires valet parking will not be available, but self-parking is still available at the resorts. So I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to switch gears just a little bit. And where is it? Here we go. We're going to talk about dining and fast passes. So what Disney has done is they have initially canceled all fast pass reservations that have been made. They have also canceled Disney dining reservations that have been made, and they have also removed the Disney dining plans from vacation packages. And what they will do is they will allow guests to rebook their dining reservations at 60 days out from their date of check-in. Typically, dining is made 180 days in advance. They're moving that a little bit closer to be able to better manage the capacity in the restaurants. So dining reservations that were made have been canceled, but guests will have the opportunity to rebook dining experiences 60 days out from their date of check-in. That is not open yet, but dining reservation booking windows are going to open closer to the park opening dates. So we'll get information about that later on. And as soon as that information comes, you can count on me that I will post that. And if you're one of my clients, you can be guaranteed that I'll reach out to you personally and let you know this is when we can rebook your dining, and I'll also help you through that process. Temporarily, the Fastpass Plus system is suspended. So we don't know again how long that will last. We don't know exactly what the process will be. We would imagine some form of virtual queue, but we're waiting for information about Disney from that. But Disney has stressed the importance of having the My Disney Experience app. And so I think that the My Disney Experience app is going to play a big role in how guests navigate the park. Much like with Universal, Disney is encouraging the use of cashless transactions as much as possible, and increased mobile ordering options done through the app and other things as well. So it is going to be a different Disney experience, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be a worse Disney experience. I think that guests who have reservations during even these initial first few weeks of reopening are going to see a very unique Disney experience, and potentially the option of experiencing those parks in a way that you may never get to experience those parks again. You may never be able to experience that level of limited capacity again. And so it's an interesting historic moment to be at Disney. I think it's also an interesting historic moment to be at Universal. It's not what we're used to. It's not business as usual, but that doesn't mean that it's a worse situation. In fact, I think in a lot of ways, it can be a really great one. So that's all of the information that I have to share with you. And so if we have any questions, my husband Evan is running the background of this broadcast for me. So Evan, I'll throw it over to you. Do we have any questions? Okay. Hello, Katie. How are you? Do you like StreamYard? Katie's one of my fellow agents at Marvelous Mouse Travels, and she and I have been discussing whether or not this program we're using for this live would be helpful for all of us to use. So, Katie, it's worked pretty well so far for what it's worth if you want to consider using it for yours. Hey, Bobby Joe. Thanks for the comment. Bobby Joe's also an MMT agent. So is Carrie. We're all one big happy family, as you can tell. Hi, Carrie. Carrie's at the Biltmore right now, having fun with her family. There's Kathy as well. Kathy's also an MMT agent. She waved. Hi, Kathy. Good to see you. That's it? All right, cool. Oh, wait, here we go. Oh, hi, Lori. Lori can't wait for her trip. I can't wait for your trip either, Lori. I think you guys are going to have so much fun. And it's been so fun working with you. Well, I think, yes, Carrie, we are one big happy family. And so I guess if we don't have any questions on a Saturday night, people are probably out at dinner or on the lake or something like that, which is cool. But we'll go ahead and wrap this up. What I will be doing probably in the next couple of days, for the sake of people who couldn't join us live, is I'll be doing a watch party on my page to kind of watch through this video again with people, and we'll kind of do live interaction in the comments if people have questions at that point too. But for those of y'all that did join me, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I hope you got value out of this. And if you are watching us on YouTube and you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, go ahead and give this video a like, and give us a subscribe over there too. Our next video that we're going to be releasing on YouTube is actually a resort tour of All-Star Movies, which is one of the value properties on site at Disney World. So I'm excited for you all to see that, but I didn't want to post a Disney resort tour without giving you an update on when's Disney going to open. So now that we've done that, we can pump that resort tour out for you guys to enjoy. So again, thanks so much for joining me tonight.